After the unbearable Amazon Prime Video show called LOL Hase To Phase, I wondered whether India can truly pull off a hilarious show with its funniest talent. There was a lack of structure in the Amazon show that led to creators who in other formats are extremely hilarious, but on the show just seemed uncomfortable. What was eventually loud, erratic, and all over the place ended up being a hot dumpster fire and an easy workday for the talent involved. With high expectations, I saw the trailer of Comedy Premium League on Netflix featuring some of the most talented and funny individuals from the world of social media and stand-up comedy. Before I get into the show and basically go through what ultimately went wrong in this format, I just want to acknowledge that the criticism is intended not to target individuals but the overall coming together of the show. You have to realize that creators like Tanmay Bhatt and Samir Raina have established an extremely loyal and active fan base on social media. This, more than their capability to produce hilarious videos consistently and having a seamless ability to engage their audiences during long-hour live sessions, has to do with the fact that they are in control of the content that they are putting out to the public. But when comedians and creators alike come together under the umbrella of a show as talent, there is little creative control of how the end product comes across to the public. When you look at the other talent involved, including Malika Dua's work on social media, Rahul Subramaniam, Akash Gupta and Kenny Sebastian's stand-up episodes, or even Kanis Surka's improv live sessions on YouTube, the success of the products they are putting out in the public has a lot to do with the creators themselves having control of their material and how it is presented to the public. Would you agree with this? Let me know in the comments below. So what is exactly Comedy Premium League? Hosted by Prajakta Kohli, who I'll get to later, the teams are divided among 4 groups and partake in various competitions. On their respective performances, they are scored, presumably by the live audience sitting there, and finally there is a winner. Now from the onset itself, I have to say that this is Comedy Premium League's biggest issue, because its core focus is not one specific thing but an amalgamation of challenges that will be reminiscent of already popular shows. Comedy Premium League attempts all of them but doesn't really excel in any for this show to be a hysterical ride. With their round called punchlines, just like Whose Line Is It Anyway or Mock the Week, the show attempts topical gags on which comedians perform throwaway jokes, just like scenes from a hat from Whose Line Is It Anyway. Ikke Pekka is basically their strong suit, which is stand-up comedy. Scene Kya Hai is a sketch comedy round, which is reflective of the amount of preparation that the talent gets, just like Saturday Night Live or our own comedy circus. And Tu To Main is a comedy debate round, which is reflective of the tough crowd in which comedians go no holds barred, flinging several disses to one another. So as I previously said, there are a lot of genres of comedy that this show focuses on, and it becomes a broth with too many ingredients rather than having a strong core which could have elevated the show in retrospect. I'll tell you what became clear to me upon watching the 4 episodes of the show. I realized that this show, for a person who literally has no context to the personalities involved in the project, will be either lost or will not find many of the moments even remotely funny. The biggest strength of the show actually is that the talent involved already has a huge fan base, and the jokes actually land with the viewer only if they have context to their personalities outside of the show. So whether it be Tanmay Bhatt's obsession with his vlogs, Samir Raina and his extremely successful live streams on chess, or whether it even be something as minuscule as Kanis Surka's broken Hindi, for all of these jokes to land, you have to be familiar with the content that is already being delivered by these talents outside of the show. Some of the most hilarious parts of the show are actually disses of the individuals, which made me think about shows like Whose Line Is It Anyway and Mock the Week. These shows don't require you to have knowledge about the personalities involved and are inherently funny, whereas Comedy Premium League is an invitation to a house party where you should already be familiar with the crowd that is present. It's like me sitting for a Lokesh Kanagraj movie and dismissing the opening Vijay scene as dramatic and the Kabaddi scene as unnecessary. If I have context, I know that they are meant as an homage to his iconic filmography. If I have no context, I'm just lost. Similarly, Comedy Premium League only shines in its moments if you are deeply invested in the stand-up comedy world. Otherwise, you're mostly digging deep for hysterical moments. Let's talk about the competitions one by one. Before I do that, I have to tell you, what is consistent sadly for each competition is the horrible editing of the laughing, either by the live audience or the talent involved. It was actually reflective of the terrible editing that we get to see in Bollywood Film Awards, where you know a joke hasn't landed but they still cut away to a random actor laughing out of context. The talent involved watching the performances laugh at some of the most unfunny punchlines that it made me wonder, 1 second. This is exactly what happens when you call your friends to watch your set, and when you clearly are bombing on stage just to boost up your morale, the friends laugh loudly, just so that infectious energy can resonate with the room. In some of the most odd moments which should have resulted in the sound of crickets, we get these forced laughs by the talent, and you can clearly tell that they are forced because the other people are just staring at a distance with the most blank expression. Anyway, moving on, in-slide joke is a format on the show which is possibly its weakest element. The teams are given enough time, just like sketch comedy, to prepare with costumes and create a funny piece as the slides move along. In contrast, I actually think that the format from Kanis Surka's own improvisation show, where she takes topics from the live chat and the comedians involved prepare a skit on the spot, works way better. It allows improv and it has more character as well, as it transitions to various tangents that you least expected, rather than this structured piece, which is just like any other low-budget sketch show. I have to say though that Prashasti is a brilliant actor. Somebody should definitely rope her in for a Hindi movie role because I'm sure she will ace it. In the same format, Rahul Subramaniam presents a types of animal presentation that results in the most awkward laughs which make you scratch your head in confusion more than anything else, wondering ki bhai has kyun rahe hain log. Malika Dua is another talent, by the way, who aces all the acting performances in the show. She honestly is one of the standout performers from all 4 episodes. Before I get to the other types of competitions, can I just say how the point system literally makes no sense? There are moments where Rahul Dua just shouts the leaderboard, and honestly I agree with that sentiment because the point system just makes no sense. Some of the craziest performances which surely you would assume would make one team the winner, and the point system gives them 0 points, and you're like, who is even deciding this criteria? Anyway, somebody must have thought that it objectively makes sense, but from a viewer's perspective, did you even understand on what basis the points were being given? Because I was lost. Let me know in the comments below. Ikke Pe Ekka, which is the stand-up comedy round and something that should be the comedian's strong suit, is kind of uncomfortable to watch. The set includes dissing their own team members, which include comparing one of the members to a waxing didi and the same person having a personality to apologetically come in bed. Some fat jokes and dildo references, and it's just all a bit messy. Irrespective, most of the gags don't land and you wonder how they made it into the final edit. As I previously said, the forced laughter in the edit is consistent, even if the jokes don't land. It's brave of a talent like Ritasha to be a part of this show because she is mostly surrounded by stand-up comedians, but she definitely comes across as the odd one out in the group, trying her best but not really fully comfortable. Punchlines is a format that I'm a huge fan of because it tests an individual's improvisation skills and how quickly they can think on their feet. This format could have really soared, but just becomes again one of those forgettable formats that just doesn't have the quality of the inventiveness and ingenuity of shows like Whose Line Is It Anyway? The Scene Kya Hai round, which is sketch comedy, has a hijacking scene in which Malika Dua absolutely kills it, and families, namely AC and Fan, coming together, which is the show stealer. The Dance of Democracy is a sketch which has the experience writing of Tanmay Bhatt and Rohan Joshi that hits the right note for its relevance of the current climate of politics and the role of media. The comedy debate round called Tutu Meme works very well initially with the improv skills of Samir Raina, but transitions eventually to just become uncomfortable. I understand that comedians are taking digs at one another in jest, but some things just get uncomfortable where you can visibly see the comedians hiding their faces in awkwardness. Again, all points make no sense at all. The moment you think one team has hit it out of the park, they end up with 0 points. Kuch bhi ho raha tha. I don't really want to dig deep and diss on Prajakta Kohli as the host for the sake of it. More or less, her portfolio in the show is to move it forward, and she presents a sense of confidence and does a pretty tidy job as the host. She also has a zinger in reply to Samay trying to diss her, and it tells you about the experience she will gather from being around such talents. She is stumped here and there, not really having quick and inventive replies, but that's not her strong suit. She comes as a talent that has a huge fan base and a person who is transitioning to work as an actor more than anything else. I don't think it will be justified to roast her for not being funny because that isn't her role in the show. For me, Malika Dua, Rahul Subramaniam and Prashasti really make it somewhat bearable. Even talents like Tanmay, Kenny, Kanis and Samay only have fleeting moments. By the end of the 4th episode, you honestly start digging deep for the gags, which is never a good sign for a show titled Comedy Premium League. Again, as I previously said, these comedians I believe shine the most when they have creative control of the products they are putting out, rather than being a part of a project and format. There's a reason why they have such huge social media followings. Also, also, you really need to be fans of these individuals to truly enjoy the show, because it's not necessarily funny for the layman, but requires context to the personalities, because it's only funny when they take digs at one another. That too in moments can become a bit uncomfortable, like the punchline being telling someone to go to therapy for their decisions. It's just a bit awkward. Comedy Premium League ends up being a very below average final product. I would still recommend their own respective YouTube channels to be entertained. You don't even have to pay any subscription amount for that. And that was the video, guys. Write down in the comments below what you thought about the show. Please don't forget to follow me on Instagram. The handle's right in front of you. Follow me at JammyPants4. Also, please support us by smashing the like button and subscribing to our channel for weekly content ahead. Thank you for watching.